No anger. Just silence. Not even the cold kind. Just hollow. Like the echo in an empty house. I didn't scream. Didn't beg. Didn't even cry. I just left. No bags. No plan. Just my purse, my keys, and what was left of my dignity. My son, David, didn't say a word. Neither did his wife. They stood in the hallway like statues. Not shocked. Not sorry. Just indifferent. I caught my reflection in the mirror by the door. My shoulders were slumped. My eyes tired. Not from age, but from years of being too careful not to be a burden. I stepped out. Closed the door gently. Didn't slam. Didn't turn back. That night, I slept in my car. In the parking lot of a gas station. Between two delivery vans. I reclined the seat halfway. Covered myself with a blanket I kept in the trunk. Tried not to cry, it makes it harder to breathe. The first night wasn't the hardest. The third was. I was cold. My joints ached. My hands felt stiff. I missed the sound of someone breathing beside me. James used to snore. Loudly. Back then I hated it. I used to nudge him with my elbow. Now, I would give anything to hear it again. No one called. No one noticed. I checked my phone in the morning just to make sure it still worked. I brushed my teeth in gas station sinks. Wiped my face with paper towels. Ate crackers and apples for dinner. Talked to James when it got too quiet. Once, I caught myself laughing softly, telling him about the man who sold me coffee with 5 sugars. I imagined James saying, "That's not coffee, darling. That's candy in a cup." I smiled. And then I cried. Because no one else saw me. No one remembered who I used to be. I was a mother. A wife. A volunteer. A Sunday school teacher. A storyteller. Now, just an old woman in a parking lot. I was sitting on a bench outside a laundromat when I saw it. The sun was setting. The air smelled like detergent and car exhaust. I was scrolling through my phone, mostly out of habit. And then, it hit me. A notification. A tag. My granddaughter's name. I clicked. 15 seconds. That's all it took. She was wearing my robe. My old blue robe, the one I used every morning for years. She limped exaggeratedly across the kitchen. Using a broomstick like a cane. Groaning loudly. The caption read, "Living with Grandma be like." There was a fake hunchback. A gray wig. She held my favorite mug, the one James gave me for our 40th anniversary. The one with the bluebird and the word beloved. The kitchen was mine. My rug. My canisters. The cabinet James built with his own hands. They had mocked it all. The background music was circus-like. People laughed. Hundreds of comments. Emojis. GIFs. OMG, that's hilarious face with tears of joy. Old people are a whole vibe, lol. Send this to nursing home TikTok face with tears of joy. Something inside me cracked. Not from anger, but from grief. A grief deeper than death. Grief that comes when the people you raised, the people you once held in your arms, choose to humiliate you. They didn't ask. They didn't care. They turned my life into a punchline. I closed the phone, felt my heartbeat in my throat. My breath got shallow. My fingers tingled. I sat there for what felt like hours, motionless. Then I whispered, "You weren't raised like this." The next morning, I walked into a thrift store. Second-hand everything. It smelled like mothballs and stories no one cared to tell. I asked for work. The girl at the register looked surprised. I expected her to say I was too old. She didn't. She said, "We could use help sorting donations. You okay with cleaning?" I said yes before she finished the sentence. They gave me gloves, a name tag, a mop. I cleaned floors, sorted coats, hung dresses, and for the first time in years, I felt useful. I earned every dollar. I smiled at strangers. I said hello like I meant it. I found joy in small things, like organizing the bookshelves by color. One afternoon, a woman came in crying. Her face was stained with ash. She told me she lost everything in a fire. I walked her through the aisles, found her a warm coat, a blanket, wool socks. She shivered. I took off my gloves, the only ones I had, and handed them to her. She hesitated. I nodded. And then she hugged me, like she hadn't been touched in days. That night, she posted on Facebook, "An angel in a thrift store helped me today." I didn't think much of it. But by morning, the post had gone viral. People shared it, commented, cried. And for the first time in a long time, they weren't laughing at me. They were listening. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. First it was messages, then emails, invitations to interviews, podcasts, local shows. All of them asking about the woman from the thrift store. But it wasn't just about the coat. They wanted the story behind the kindness, the pain that shaped the softness. So, I spoke. I spoke about James. How he used to call me the melody of the house. How, on his final day, he held my hand and whispered, "Promise me you'll keep singing, even if I'm not around to hear it." I spoke about David, my son, my boy. How he'd fall asleep in my lap even when he was too big. How only I knew how to fold his shirts the right way. How one day, he looked at me and said, "Mom, you're disrupting our routine." He didn't yell, didn't slam doors. He just said it, as if asking someone to take the trash out. I spoke about silence. The kind that lives inside a house, even when people are laughing. The kind that screams louder than any insult. And then I said a line that left my lips as a whisper, but reached the world as a roar. I wasn't a burden. I was a blessing no one wanted to carry anymore. So I carried myself. That line exploded. Women began writing to me. From everywhere. Every age. My son did the same to me. My daughter said I was outdated. My husband said I became a weight. Suddenly, I wasn't just the thrift store lady. I was the voice of a silent crowd. A chorus of forgotten women, pushed to the corners of homes and hearts. They started calling me the grandmother of resistance, the keeper of stories, the one who survived. And deep inside, something bloomed. Not fame, not vanity, but validity. I moved into a tiny apartment above a flower shop. It smells like lavender, wet soil, and chamomile tea. Every morning, I open the window and let the breeze kiss my face. The sunlight reminds me I'm still here, that I exist. I adopted a cat. Gracie. Gray, speckled, with suspicious eyes and an old soul. She follows me everywhere. Sits on my lap when I write. Listens when I read aloud. Sometimes, it feels like she understands. Other times, I just cry. And she stays. Doesn't leave. Just stays. Like no one else did. I've started laughing again. Not the polite kind. The kind that rises on its own, from nowhere, in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. The kind James used to call real music. And in this new space of silence and healing, I received an invitation to speak at a women's shelter. They asked me to share my journey. So I did. When I finished, a woman stood up, her eyes full of tears. And she whispered. I thought I was the only one. I looked into her eyes and said, "You are not." If this story felt familiar, if someone ever made you feel too much, or too little, too old, too tired, or too broken, I need you to hear this. You are not invisible. You are not disposable. You are not a joke. And most of all, you are not a burden. You are a story worth telling, a soul worth hearing, a life still unfolding. And you are not alone. I don't know where you're listening from. A kitchen, a quiet room, a hospital bed, maybe the front seat of your car, like I once did. But wherever you are, know this. You matter. Your existence is not an inconvenience. Your presence is not a mistake. Your story doesn't end just because someone closed the door on you. It only ends when you stop believing it deserves to be heard. Speech balloon, leave a comment below. Tell me what part of this story spoke to your heart. I promise, I read every single one. And I carry them with me. Like little reminders that we still matter. Thumbs up like this video if it touched you. You never know, someone crying quietly tonight might need to see it too. Bell subscribe to hear more stories like this. Real ones. Raw ones. The kind that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you didn't scroll past this moment. And if no one else told you this today, I see you. I believe you. And I'm glad you exist.